The Chiefs have been a powerhouse since Patrick Mahomes became the starting quarterback. Kansas City has played in 4 straight AFC Championship games, and before last year, the Chiefs had made 2 straight Super Bowls. Of course, they won 1. Kansas City has its eyes set on another playoff run, but the reality is, the Chiefs look like a completely different team in 2022. Obviously, the biggest change from last season to this season is going to be the absence of Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs drafted Tyreek back in 2016 in the 5th round after a domestic violence arrest tanked his draft stock. He was a fantastic returner as a rookie and was even named a first-team All-Pro and made the Pro Bowl. But eventually, the Chiefs started giving him more reps at wideout. In the 5 seasons after, he had over 1,000 yards in 4 of the 5 years, including almost 1,500 yards in 2018, which was Patrick Mahomes' MVP season. Plus, Tyreek made the Pro Bowl every year and picked up 3 more All-Pro selections, and of course, he got that Super Bowl ring too. Tyreek and the Chiefs couldn't agree to a long-term contract this offseason, so Kansas City traded him to the Dolphins for a 1st, 2nd, 2 fourths, and a 6th. Tyreek is without a doubt one of the best wide receivers in the league, and it's going to be a huge loss for the Chiefs offense in 2022. But Kansas City did try its best to try to fill his void. The new big name wideout in Kansas City is Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju came into the league in 2017 when the Steelers drafted him in the 2nd round after he tore it up at USC. He absolutely dominated in his first 2 years in Pittsburgh, playing alongside Antonio Brown. Juju had over 2,300 yards and 14 touchdowns over the span, but his stat line did dip a bit after AB was traded. Juju had just over 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns over his last 3 seasons in Pittsburgh and dealt with a season-ending shoulder injury in 2021. Then, this past offseason, Juju signed a 1-year, $10.75 million deal with the Chiefs. He wasn't the only guy Kansas City opened the checkbook for, though. How about Marquez Valdes-Scantling? MVS got drafted by the Packers in the 5th round back in 2018, and he had a pretty solid rookie year with 581 yards and 2 touchdowns. MVS had a similar year in 2019, but then he kind of broke out in 2020, 690 yards and 6 touchdowns. Last season, he was hurt on and off with a hamstring injury and later with a back injury. So he only played in 11 games, but did have 430 yards and 3 touchdowns. MVS hit the open market and the Chiefs gave him a 3-year, $30 million deal. Yeah, MVS gets to go from playing with Aaron Rodgers to Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs also addressed the position at the draft, selecting Sky Moore. Kansas City drafted Sky in the 2nd round of the 2022 NFL Draft. Sky played college ball at Western Michigan, and when he got there, he had never played wide receiver. He converted to the position and started as a true freshman and had over 800 yards and 3 touchdowns. Sky didn't have a chance to show much in 2020 because of the COVID year, but he dominated as a junior. He had 1,292 yards and 10 touchdowns. He decided to declare for the NFL Draft. All in all, he was named All-MAC every year in college. Kansas City didn't just add on the offensive side of the ball, though. The Chiefs traded up at the 2022 NFL Draft to select Trent McDuffie. McDuffie played at Washington and played in every single game as a true freshman. But because of COVID, the Huskies only played 4 games in 2020, but he was still named All Pac-12. McDuffie earned the honor again in 2021 before deciding to make the jump to the pros. The Chiefs didn't re-sign safety Tyrann Mathieu, which is obviously a huge loss for the Chiefs defense, but they ended up getting a guy to replace him, Justin Reid. Reid was drafted in the 3rd round of the 2018 draft by the Texans, and he had a good first 3 seasons in Houston. He had nearly 200 tackles and 3 interceptions over the span, but late in 2020, he suffered a hand injury, and Reid didn't play at all in 2021. Then his rookie deal ran out, and the Chiefs signed him to a 3-year, $31.5 million contract. Back on the offense, the Chiefs are set up to have a good offensive line this season. Center Creed Humphrey was great as a rookie, as was 6th round pick Trey Smith at guard. Smith is going to be playing across from veteran Joe Thuney. With those names I just listed, there's a lot to love about the Chiefs' interior line. But there are some questions at tackle. Lucas Niang is probably going to start at right tackle, and he's a bit shaky. But the big problem is at left tackle, the most important player on the line. Orlando Brown. Brown was drafted by the Ravens in the 3rd round back in 2018 after 3 years at Oklahoma, 2 of which he was the Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year. He played in every game as a rookie, and for the next 2 seasons, he was a Pro Bowler and started every single game at tackle for Baltimore. Ahead of the 2021 season, he was traded to the Chiefs with a 2nd and 6th rounder for a 1st, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. In 2021, he made the Pro Bowl after starting every game for Kansas City. With his contract expiring, the Chiefs opted to franchise tag him. Kansas City and Brown just couldn't reach a long-term deal. Reportedly, Brown turned down a 5-year, $91 million deal. Theoretically, he would have made $16.7 million this year on the franchise tag, but he hasn't signed his tender yet. Apparently, Brown wanted to make top-of-the-market money, like $23 million per season, but the Chiefs only offered around 19. They're definitely far off from each other, and Brown is holding out of training camp. It would be terrible for the line, and especially Patrick Mahomes, if Brown doesn't play this season. That being said, Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs have gone through a lot of changes this offseason, and the offense is going to look super different this season than in years past. But what really matters is that Mahomes is still there. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league without any doubt. And while he doesn't get to throw to Tyreek Hill anymore, Mahomes is going to have to build chemistry with guys like Juju or MVS. But it's already there with one of the best tight ends in the NFL, Travis Kelce. It feels like Travis Kelce has been with the Chiefs forever now. He was drafted in the 3rd round back in 2013, and after he didn't really play as a rookie, Kelce had over 800 yards the next 2 seasons. Safe to say, he kind of figured things out in the pros, because since 2016, he's had over 1,000 yards every single season. Kelce has led the league in receiving yards for tight ends in 3 seasons, including 1,416 yards in 2020, where he set the single-season NFL record, and has led the league in touchdowns by a tight end for the past 2 years. He's a Super Bowl champion, 6-time All-Pro, and 7-time Pro Bowler. There is absolutely no question about how good Kelce is, but one of the main guys to be a bit interested about in 2022 is Mecole Hardman. Hardman was drafted in 2019 by Kansas City in the 2nd round after his time at Georgia. His first 2 seasons in the league looked pretty similar, over 500 yards and 10 touchdowns in total. He was better in 2021 with almost 700 yards, but there's a lot of questions about what his role will be this season, and more importantly, how well he'll perform. And that'll be up to Andy Reid to figure out. Reid is still one of the best in the biz, and so is Patrick Mahomes. Regardless of what the rest of the Chiefs roster may look like, a team that has Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid leading the helm can probably figure it out. The Chiefs are still expected to be one of the best teams in the league this season, and that's going to be the expectation every year that Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are running the show. But there's no doubt it's going to be harder than past seasons. The AFC West is an absolute gauntlet. The Broncos got way better after trading for Russell Wilson. The Chargers returned Justin Herbert, who has already proven that he can be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And oh yeah, they got a bolstered defense too after trading for Khalil Mack and going out and signing JC Jackson. Finally, the Raiders still have Derek Carr, who now gets to throw the ball to his old college teammate Devontae Adams. Not to mention that the Bills are probably the expected kings of the AFC, and the Bengals are coming off of a Super Bowl run. The Chiefs have had their time to rule the conference and had a lot of success, but Kansas City is going to have to prove that it can still be one of the best teams in 2022.